Hello, friends. It's Lisa Williams. I am the Chief Inspiration Officer here at Perfect Side Gigs. Welcome to our virtual interview series, Corporate to Entrepreneur. We are so blessed. We are hearing from all these experts who have made that brave leap into the world of entrepreneurship and found their true joy and passion as a result of it. So today we have a very special guest, Miss Jessica Santana. Jessica, welcome to our show.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here.
Absolutely. Let me tell you about this young woman. She is a social impact entrepreneur, a philanthropist, a writer, a technologist, and she started a company in 2014 with her best friend, which I just love, called America on Tech. And they're doing amazing things. They're helping create pathways for youth to degrees in technology and careers in technology. My heritage is technology too, so I love what you're doing, Jessica. Thank you so much for joining us.
Of course, I'm really happy to be here.
So I want to just jump right in. Now, you started your career with a couple of the big four. I think you started with Deloitte and Accenture, and I know personally those those organizations, they have amazing training programs. And I would like to help our audience understand what can they use from the training they get in corporate that will equip them to become a business builder and an entrepreneur.
Absolutely. So, I think one of the things that I'm really grateful for is having had the opportunity to work at a corporation before actually taking the leap of faith and starting my business full time and taking it full time. I think that when me specifically, I was working in technology consulting, and in that role specifically, there were a lot of skills that I was able to obtain in these organizations that I think have actually amplified and actually accelerated our business a little bit faster than we expected. Some of those skills are one, the ability to problem solve. As a technology consultant, I was always problem solving, thinking about creative ways to do things and how to innovate on certain products and solutions that some of our clients were really interested in implementing at their companies and organizations. I think another important skill that I got was the importance of communicating, right? How do you actually convey your ideas in a way that's succinct and in a way that is persuadable, for lack of a better word, to clients and getting them on board with what your vision of what the solution that you're trying to implement looks like. And I think the last thing is just general organizational infrastructure. Because I worked at really big companies, I saw what a big company looked like in terms of having an HR department and what that looked like and what it looked like to have a budgeting person on staff and what was the expectations of the budgeting person would be. And so I think for me, having had that exposure at a really big corporate level allowed me to come back and build a business that can rely on those experiences to operationalize a lot of the work that we're doing so that even though we're smaller, obviously, than one of the big fours, we still can operate in a way that's effective and efficient. So those are the three important skills that I got while working in corporate America.
I love it. Now, our audience, we might have a lot of people that feel stuck right now. There becomes these kind of golden handcuffs, if you will, to corporate. And I'm curious just about your own journey. What was it that prompted this move? Maybe what was the first year like? What could people expect if they're going to make this leap?
Yeah, absolutely. So I knew in my life that I always wanted to make a difference. How I would make a difference and what impact would look like was very unclear to me until 2014, where we started our organization. And so I think the first thing is, I think before you start an entrepreneurial journey or before you start a business, it's just asking yourself, what problem is it that I want to solve and I want to actually commit my life's work to? Because one, business gets really hard we've been in business now for 6 years, but I can tell you that maybe for the first 2 years, we were operating in a lot of gray areas. And in the times of uncertainty, it is really important to rely on your why as the reason why you keep going every single day. And so for folks who are feeling a little bit uninspired, I think the first thing you need to do is really ask yourself, like, what problem in the world is it that I'm passionate about, that I want to solve and I want to make an impact in, because that is what's going to guide you during the times where things get hard. I think for me, the second piece of advice would be um, making sure that you are allowing yourself to take risks even when the world is telling you to sit idle. I think so many of my peers and even like some of my family members, when I was telling them that I was going to take, my work full time, they were like, why would you ever want to take a community organization full time? Like, what is a nonprofit? Like, does this mean you're not going to get paid? Like, what does the salary look like? And I remember myself like, listen, I don't really have all these questions answered at the moment, but like, give me a few months and I'm going to come back to you all and tell you about all of our successes. And I felt like a lot of times they were projecting a lot of their own fears on me. And so it took me, I took a lot of courage to take that risk, especially when no one really understood why I wanted to take that risk in the first place. And so my second piece of advice is just take risks when everyone else and even the world is conspiring to make you feel like you should be sitting idle. And then I think the third piece is, if you're feeling stuck, is knowing that it is temporary and it's not permanent. I think so many of us think that the feeling of being stuck is something that has to stay with us, but we do live our life by the decisions that we make and not necessarily by the default circumstances that we find ourselves in. And so my best advice for you is, if you are feeling stuck and you have an amazing idea and you've just been sitting on it for a long time, is just know that like work, hard work is always going to pay off, and you pursuing your dreams is always going to pay off. There's not going to be a direct path towards that success, but if you remain resilient in the process and you really take the time to own your craft and what you want to do, that everything else works itself out. So to recap, I would say, take risks, make sure that you are not sitting idle on your dreams, and make sure that you have a solid foundation on why you want to do this in the first place.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I can imagine it wasn't a hard thing that your best friend was involved with this business. I think that's fabulous. I think a lot of people have that person in their life that they kind of dream with and brainstorm with. Can you tell us a little bit about that partnership? And, I think it's important that oftentimes you guys complement one another, I would imagine, have different skills. Tell us about that.
Yeah, for sure. So I've been very blessed to have a solid co-founder relationship. Even before we started the business together, him and I were actually best friends. His name is Evan Robinson. Him and I met in 2009 while we were still undergraduate students at Syracuse University. And we ended up meeting at a summer conference because the university ended up nominating us to participate at a conference with Ernst & Young. And that summer, when we were at the conference, we knew we looked familiar, but we weren't sure where. And then finally, when we connected, we realized we went to the same campus. And, for many years, through our undergraduate careers and our even professional lives, we followed a very similar trajectory, both on a professional level and a personal level, because he is also from Brooklyn, New York, and he's also the first person in his family to obtain a degree in technology and go into the technology industry. So him and I have just followed a very similar career path. And I think that, him and I having those shared experiences on a personal level made it really natural when we were trying to think about the problem that we both wanted to solve, to come together and do that thing together. And quite frankly, him and I in 2014, we sat down at a Starbucks and we were like, man, like the technology industry is really losing out on some amazing talent because we're not creating equitable pathways for young people to thrive in it. So what can we do now that we are from communities that are often overlooked with educational resources? Like, what can we do together to solve this issue? And I think that his partnership has been extremely fundamental in the growth of the organization. And I think that him and I, one, respect each other as individuals and also respect each other in the professional space. And I think we are also very much driven by the same vision and the same goals. How we achieve those goals are the things that differentiate us because him and I do complement one another. I tend to be like big thinker, visionary, like really like let's go do all of the things. And Evan tends to be like, okay, no, let's talk about operations, let's talk about logistics, let's talk about conservative financial planning. And he always asks me really hard questions and kind of keeps me in line when I'm thinking about like all of the things that we could be doing as an organization. And so his partnership and the way he shows up in our friendship and in the business just is always authentic and genuine. And it is really a blessing to be able to have worked with him this far and have had no issues. We obviously conflict in strategy sometimes, but like never to the point where we feel like we're compromising on the organization's values or even the respect that we have for each other on a personal level.
Yeah, well, and I think you hit on it earlier. It sounds like your why is very much aligned, which is so important, I think, when you're building a business. Now, you've made really a big impact on our youth in our country with your company. I'm curious. I'm a mom myself, 20, 17, and 12, year old. And I think a lot of our youth, they look at the life that maybe their folks have in corporate America, and they really don't want it doesn't align with them. What would you say to those people?
Mm-hmm. I think it's so important for parents to extend grace to their children as they explore the things that they are passionate about. My family, they came here from Puerto Rico in the 50s and 60s, and I think they had a very strict and linear idea of like how you achieve an American dream for them. And so for them, it was, I go to school, I obtain a career in corporate America, I get married, I have some children, I put those kids through school, I obtain property, and then I retired, and then I lived a successful life. And I think that at one point did resonate with me because it's all I knew, and I didn't have the opportunity to gain the exposure to a lot of other things that I could have been doing in my career should I have had the opportunity to engage and tinker and create and like just learn about different kinds of fields. And so for me, even my pathway into technology was a very non-traditional pathway. I didn't come from a computer science background. I actually learned to code myself, and then I ended up getting my master's in technology, not even my undergrad. And so had I known and had I been given the grace to just tinker and like do things that were out of the ordinary and maybe have those things be encouraged, I think that maybe I would have found myself in technology a little bit faster than I did. And so for me, I think my best advice is just, give your children the leniency to be able to explore what their passions are, and also know that like the world that we live in now is very different than the world that our parents lived in and that their parents lived in. And so the amount of opportunities that there are, the kinds of jobs that are being created are very different than the ones that we've had exposure to, and technology has really disrupted what that looks like. And so I think keeping an open mind and empowering young people to have their own voice and have their own agency is important. And I think that a successful parent will understand that their child can be empowered to make really good decisions for themselves if given the appropriate tools and resources to make those decisions in a way that's an informed way, if that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. A lot of our speakers have um, very strong mentors in their life that they attribute a lot of their early success to, and continued success in varying degrees. What role has mentorship played in your success? And also, are you now mentoring others as well?
Yeah, so it's so crazy because I don't know that I had a mentor until I was an adult. So I grew up in a community where a lot of people didn't go to college. A lot of them weren't on a specific educational path. And so I think as a result of that, I always relied on mentors in my head. And for me, like my first mentor in my head was Sonia Sotomayor. which is the Supreme Court Justice. And I just thought that she was really fabulous. You know, she was an Ivy League grad. She went and got her law degree. She was fighting for justice in the community. And she was also from New York City, like I was, and she was Puerto Rican, like I am. And so there were so many things that I saw her do in the media when I was in my really formative years, you know, like 18, 19, 20, that I realized like this was my actual first mentor and whose leadership style I wanted to model. And I think that as time passed and I found myself in different rooms and I had access to more resources that were different than the resources that I had growing up in Brooklyn, New York, I felt like that is when mentorship started becoming more organic, and I was starting to gain access to people that were genuinely invested in my career and in my path. And so, you know, I think that some of my mentors have been really big executives at companies, but some of them have also been my friends that are figuring it out with me. You know, some of them have also been, you know, people that I've seen on the TV and folks that like I really have admired watching YouTube videos about. And so I see mentorship as, you know, something that I have, one, that have definitely needed in helping create a pathway for myself and helping mold my own leadership style. But I also think that, you know, it hasn't always been like a formal mentoring program that I participate in. It's just the organic relationships that I've been able to build with people that have just taken the form of a mentor-mentee relationship later on, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think with technology now and all, like you said, all those, influencers that you really don't have an excuse to even have not have a mentor because they're all over the place, right? Um, I know that obviously adversity, strikes in every business. For those watching this later, we are actually in the midst of the COVID-19 crisis right now. I think we're in, is it week 7? I don't even know what day it is, but I'm curious, we both know that amazing things can happen out of adversity. What are you excited about right now? What are you planning to do to maybe shift your business as a result of this crisis?
Yes, absolutely. So, you know, we've always been used to doing implementations of our courses in an in-person format. So, like, we would go to schools and we would implement the courses there, go to community-based organizations and implement the courses there. But as time has passed, we've realized that these things can be really costly and can also cause a lack of access for people who can't necessarily bring one of our programs directly to their community because maybe there isn't any philanthropy there or there isn't any, technology company there willing to sponsor a program like ours. And so I think what COVID has shown us is that there are places around the country that we actually can access if we use the power of technology to implement something like distance learning models so that students who are in some of the more rural areas of the country that don't even have access to something like a nonprofit program or strong educational resources can still engage in our educational content online and still be able to participate in something like a virtual career day or a virtual panel discussion about careers in technology so they can also get access to the things that, I think our innovation in this country is allowing us to potentially explore. So I think that's one way we've been thinking about it. Is just how can we leverage technology more to get our content and our curriculum and our resources into communities that we know would be very difficult for us to have an actual physical office in. And I think the second thing it has forced us to really think about virtual learning as a viable option for even in the places where we do have a physical presence because so many of the students that we work with they're really busy, right? Like it's because we're working a lot of times in low to moderate income communities, like they sometimes don't have access to robust transportation systems that allow them to come to our offices, or maybe they can't always get to a certain kind of internship. But what we can do is give them a laptop and a Wi-Fi connectivity and think about how we can support them in that way in their own homes so that they don't feel like they are super disconnected from the rest of the world and that they can still engage in things that are work-based and meaningful. So I think it's also forcing us to think about how we do our current work differently to maximize the efficiency that technology allows us to explore, but then also supplementing those students with the actual resources they need to be successful in one of our programs. So I think those are the two main things that we've been learning. And probably maybe the third thing is I think that in our business, we're also probably learning that it is okay to leverage technology in a way that it can feel scary to other people. You know, like not every parent has been used to jumping on a Zoom and engaging with, teachers or engaging with nonprofit professionals that are in their child's lives. And so I think it is causing us to realize that, there are some people that are uncomfortable with using these tech platforms, but that uncomfortability is also allowing them to learn a new skill, and it's also allowing them to think about how they can maximize efficiency in their own lives. And so I think those are probably the three things that we've been learning on our end.
I love it. Yeah, I'm excited personally to see what's going to come out of this, because we both know that, new companies are being created as we speak, and technology is being leveraged, like you said. Isn't it funny? I think it's funny that you're basically going back to the basics, your roots of technology. So we're quickly running out of time, but I have a couple more questions. I always find that people that have made that brave move into entrepreneurship almost without fail, they seem to have some higher power that's guiding them. Some call it God, some call it hope, but just overall a greater good that they believe their life is meant to have. Can you tell us, is faith a part of your life, and what has that played, and what role has that played for you?
Yeah, absolutely. Faith has been a really big part of my life. My mom and dad raised me as a Catholic. I think as I've gotten older, I've just started identifying as Christian, and I'm very spiritual. And I think that faith for me is the thing that shows up in the times of uncertainty, when you don't have anything else to rely on, and when you think that things are gray and you think that everything is falling apart. Like, the thing that keeps me personally resilient is having faith, and being able to rely on, whoever it is that for me it's God, right? For some people it might be Allah. Whoever it is that you rely on for external forces that will keep you going every single day. I encourage it for any entrepreneur. And I think faith, for me, has been also the thing that I've leaned on when things have gotten like difficult. I think I said it earlier, like, entrepreneurship is hard. It is a difficult thing. And I know that right now it's romanticized in the sense that, like, everyone wants to start a business, everyone wants to be a CEO. But when I think about the past 6 years as a CEO and what it actually has required in terms of sacrifice, in terms of like lack of sleep, in terms of maybe not always getting to go to every social hour because I actually have to do something that's very important to the business. Those are the things that, like, I rely on my faith on, to make sure that, like, I know that the things that are happening are temporary, and my faith in the work that we do and my faith in God are the things that are going to continue to propel me forward, and make sure that, like, the things that I say that I'm committed to will actually be seen through to and through.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I would like to ask you a question about the future. And are you a mother by chance?
I'm not a mother.
Okay. So I'm curious. I think you'll be a fabulous mother should you choose to go down that route. But if you had children in the future and you weren't able to actually leave them money, but you could leave them knowledge, what would you say to your children?
Ooh, I would say so many things. um, maybe the thing I would say is don't ask for permission.
Mm.
I think that, especially when I was growing up, and even in my pieces of my adult life, I remember always thinking that I needed an external validator in order to allow myself to do certain things. Like, I remember when I was like leaving corporate America and I told my parents, like, hey, I'm leaving my job. They were like, what? And I think I told them because I was waiting for them to say, like, congratulations, like, we're so happy for you. And I actually realized that I was hoping for that because I was hoping for them to validate that what I was doing was the right thing. And I think when I didn't get that reaction, it sent me into like a state of sadness and also a state of like feeling like I disappointed them in all their hard work. You know, they're immigrants, right? So coming, you know, to America and like creating a pathway for me to live an economically mobile life. And now I want to take this leap into entrepreneurship. Like I felt like I was letting them down. And I think that ultimately what I needed to realize was that they were going to love me regardless of whether or not I was successful or unsuccessful in starting a business and then sustaining that business. And I would wish that my kids knew that, my future kids at least, that they know that they don't need anyone's permission. And so long as they are living in what they really authentically feel is their purpose and they feel aligned to the things that they're doing, that external validators are nice, but they're not necessary in order for them to achieve their larger goals.
I love that. I'm going to write that down. I don't know. I want my kids to ask permission, but I really don't want them to. Oh my goodness. Well, we are nearly out of time, friends. Jessica, I know that you have a complimentary gift that you wanted to offer our audience. Do you want to share a little bit about that?
Yes, so I'm very passionate about jobs in the technology industry, and I think that setting people up for success to work in technology if they've never done that has been one of my biggest passions, which is why I've committed my life's work to doing this. And so I'm offering a free coaching session with myself for anyone who wants to, learn about how to actually break into the industry. And I'm sure Lisa's going to link how to actually get in touch with me. So a 30-minute session on how you can actually break into tech is what I'm offering to the audience today.
Oh, I love that. You're going to have a lot of takers on that one. So, well, thank you so much, Jessica. You've been lovely. I've loved hearing your journey. And my prayer is that you are going to touch the people that need to hear your message. And I just thank you for visiting our show. So, to our audience, thanks for joining us. Be sure and tune in next time to Corporate to Entrepreneur, and bless you in your life journey. I'll see you soon.